Jim Davidson, folks. Now, he shot me last night when I seen something on YouTube. He really did. Now, before I go any further, because I've had a few Jim Davidson devotees on here before, thinking I was having a pop at him once. Well, I was, but I backed it up. I had good reason. But I like Jim. I've always liked Jim. No problem at all. From being a young kid, I've liked him. Think he's fine. I don't watch his Ustream channel, but I do see clips of him on YouTube. And I agree with most everything he says. I'm not saying I agree with his politics, but I'm not saying I agree with anybody's politics. I'm not a political animal, as I've said in the past. I know Jim is a true blue, a big Conservative follower. I think he liked Maggie. I think he liked her very, very much. But no, as talking common sense, he talks a hell of a lot of it. And as I say, I agree with him almost all of the time. As a comedian, I thought he was very, very good. When I hear him now, I don't hear him do much comedy because, as I say, I don't watch Ustream, which is where he does his stuff. But I don't know if it's moved on since the 70s. Now, I don't mind that because I like a lot of 70s and 80s comedy. Got no problem with it at all. Absolutely none. But when he's on his little 10-minute rambles on YouTube about things that are happening in the day, I agree with, or happening at this moment in time, I agree with most of what he says. But the way he delivers some of his stuff, I mean, he's polished, obviously, because he's a talker, he's a comedian. But some of the things he says that he thinks are funny, I don't find that funny. And he's saying the same things like all the time. So I find them quite boring. But that said, his views as such, I tend to agree with him nearly all the time there. So we're spot on there, we're on the same page. But I heard him last night having a pop at Steve Coogan, because Coogan's put his head above the parapet there. He's saying something, I believe he's been a supporter for years of Corbyn. Well, I don't like Corbyn, never did, don't like him at all. Barely know him, but don't like him. I think Coogan's also been saying something about people who like the Royals. He said they're virtually all brain dead. Well, you can have an opinion, Steve, but I think you've gone a bit too far. You might not like them, but there's no reason other people aren't allowed to like them. We've all got our choices and our opinions. So I think you went a little bit too far on that. But what Jim said, that surprised me, and it really surprised me. He was calling Coogan and saying he's crap. He's not funny. He's never been funny. An absolutely awful comedian. He's saying how he's seen him. He was backstage once and he was watching him and he died on his backside. He said, and he really died. Well, I thought, I bet there's the odd time in your career, Jim, that you've died. I may be wrong, but most everybody does from time to time, even the best amongst us. But that said, it may well have happened. He was calling his big creation, his Alan Partridge, saying it's crap. And I'm thinking to myself, well, Jim, I like you. You know, I like most of what you say. I agree with most of what you say. For all I don't follow your politics, I mean, he did something on that, is it? Samantha Bacon yesterday about what he thought about her. I agreed with him. I agree with most things he says about most people. I really do. But I couldn't agree with him about Coogan because I thought to myself, well, Jim, you know, that's fine. You've got an opinion and that's good. But he went and jackbooted up. He really went in double-footed. But I thought, for me, Jim, Coogan's like 10 times funnier than you've ever been. 10 times funnier. And probably more talented. I mean, his impersonations, which he's what he started with, are fantastic. In the main, they're all brilliant. He's become a great actor. You know, not just the thing he did with Savile the other week, which was fantastic. It really, really was. He was great with Judi Dench there in that film they did. I can't remember what it was called, but it was great. I think his Alan Partridge creation is fantastic. I love watching it. I've loved every series he's done with Alan Partridge, from being in the motel to everything else. I think his Paul Calf and Pauline Calf were great. I think the Tony D'Angelo, DeFargo, did something or other. That weren't his best, but most everything else he's done has been great. I think he's really good, Steve Coogan. I really, really think he's funny. I seen the Alan Partridge film a few years ago now, a bit after it came out. It was absolutely crap. That was crap. It just didn't suit a film, and it wasn't that good. But the script was crap. That's what made it crap. But his normal series with Alan Partridge, I think they're great. I think Steve Coogan's absolutely fantastic. Would I like to sort of have a pint and whatever with him? Well, yeah, if he was probably entertaining me and doing his... Yeah. Would I be on the same page as him politically? Almost certainly not. If he likes Corbyn, I couldn't, you know. But no, he's a funny guy, and I'm amazed that Jim Davidson went in so hard. There's a few comedians that I've called on here. There's a few that I think are just absolutely unfunny and absolutely crap, you know. And that just shows we all have opinions, and we're all, you know, we're all different. I mean, I've called her Judy Luck before. I think she's terrible. I only think she's a crap comedian because that's the title she goes under. And as of now, up to now still, I've not heard her tell one funny line yet. And I mean, not one funny line. So for me, if you can't tell one funny line, you're not that funny, you're not that good. But loads like her. But Coogan, he makes me laugh. You did, Jim, when, your comedy made me laugh. But I don't think I've ever laughed as much with your comedy as I have with Coogan's. I think Coogan's brilliant. But that's just my opinion. What do I know? The Jim Davidson lovers will be on my case, I'm sure. But I would like the honest Jim Davidson followers to tell me, do they also think Coogan's crap? And do they think Davidson's better than Coogan? Do they think he's better than Coogan? I don't. And, I would imagine most people out there wouldn't either. I think that, apart from Jim's followers, I think there'd be very, very few people that think he's the better of the two, Davidson. I really would. I think Coogan's much better. But, hey, maybe I'm wrong. But I just thought Jim went in really, really hard on him yesterday. And I think it's all to do with the politics. As I say, he's a true blue, is Jim. And I think he really doesn't like Labour, and especially Corbyn. And I think they're that far, the polls apart politically. And I think that's what his dislike is for Coogan, that he's a supporter of Corbyn. But I might be wrong, I don't know.